The Detroit Lions host the Atlanta Falcons in week 3 for what, in my opinion, is a must-win game. You got a quick turnaround, and in 96 hours, you have to go to Lambeau and face the Green Bay Packers for the first time in over 15 years without Aaron Rodgers. And now is the time for the Detroit Lions to take control of the division. But it starts with a win over the Atlanta Falcons. So let's look at the ESPN Gamecast and go over some stats, and I'll give you my thoughts at the end of the video. The Atlanta Falcons have a 44.5% chance to win this game to the Detroit Lions 55.1. We look at passing leaders. Desmond Ridder, 34 of 50 for 352 yards with 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. So you mean to tell me that in 2 games he's thrown the ball 50 times? I think that's because of this guy down here. Jared Goff, 50 for 70 with 576 yards with 4 touchdowns and 1 interception. And that was that unfortunate pick 6 last week. Rushing yards. David Montgomery won't even be in the game. 37 carries, 141 yards and 2 touchdowns, with Bijan Robinson, 29 carries for 180 yards. I'm surprised he doesn't have a touchdown yet. Receiving leaders, M. Hollins with 6 receptions for 91 yards, and no surprise here, Amon-Ra St. Brown with 12 receptions, 173 yards with 1 touchdown. If you want to go to the game, this ticket right here is a standing room only ticket. The game is sold out. If we look at the injury report, Cordero Patterson, the running back, is questionable, and so is Jeff Okudah. He is looking to potentially make his season debut for the Atlanta Falcons this week. Now you go to us here. Taylor Decker out. Kirby Joseph out. Emmanuel Mosley out. Halapalooty Vaitai out. CJ Gardner-Johnson placed on IR. And we got the injury report later today, so we know who's all out and who's in, with some game time decisions as well. Now, let me remember that the Falcons are on the left and the Detroit Lions are on the right. Total yards per game is going to be 446.5 for the Falcons, 398 for the Detroit Lions. Total passing, 176 for the Atlanta Falcons, and the Detroit Lions average a whole 100+ yards more than the Atlanta Falcons. But here's the key right here. Rushing yards, 170 rushing yards. If I'm not mistaken, that's what Bijan has, as we saw earlier up here, 180. So we have to be able to contain him, but we'll talk about that later. The Detroit Lions get 110. That's better than below 100, so I'll take it. Total yards allowed, 267.5 for the Atlanta Falcons to 363 for the Detroit Lions. Passing yards allowed, they allow less than 150 per game at 148.5. We allow, almost 150 yards more, 125. That's insane, more than the Atlanta Falcons. They rushing yards allowed, we allow 86.0 per game, and the Atlanta Falcons average 119.6. I believe that our defense against the run is top 10, maybe even 9 overall. Our last 5 games for the Detroit Lions, they are 3-2, with that overtime loss coming to the Seattle Seahawks at home. And the Atlanta Falcons are actually 3-1-1. So their 2 regular season games, they actually won with a tied in the preseason. I forgot. Yeah, they don't play overtime in the preseason. So that is how that's going to be. And of course, the game will be in Ford Field. The second of 2 home games before the Detroit Lions go on the road. I believe we're on the road for the next 2. I know we play Green Bay on Thursday night after the quick turnaround. This game was not so scary looking when we got the schedule announced. It wasn't even scary when the season began. And then we come off the win to the Kansas City Chiefs on the road, something that we hadn't done in almost 40 years. And then we played week 2, and we got demolished with the injury bug. Taylor Decker has not played this year. He didn't play during the preseason. St. Brown got banged up. Josh Reynolds got banged up. CJ Gardner-Johnson got banged up. And the list goes on and on. David Montgomery got banged up. Marvin Jones has been a non-factor. We had to bring up a running back from the practice squad in week 2, right? The Detroit Lions are going to be up against it. But Dan Campbell, if anybody can lead this team to a win, it's him. He talked about how the sky is falling for the people outside the building. But to them, they know this is what they do. And he got kind of giddy talking about this type of underdog, how people are already counting them out. Number one thing we have to do, we have to stop Bijan Robinson. This guy is looking like everything we thought he would be. Okay, putting people on skates. This guy is the real deal. We also have to try to match that with our first round running back, Jahmyr Gibbs. We're looking for him to get more touches. And with David Montgomery being out, there's no reason he shouldn't. In between the tackles, out wide, receiving, the whole 9 yards. We have to have a pass rush. Desmond Ridder in the preseason game last year ate us up. Our defense, we would want to say, is better than that, right? So, of course, when it comes to the Detroit Lions, you're going to hear me on a repeat record. And one of the things that I'm going to say is contain the quarterback. We didn't contain Patrick Mahomes, really. We didn't contain Geno Smith. And we have to contain Desmond Ridder. 3 mobile, agile quarterbacks that we faced in a row. And we're 1-1 against them. The last time the Atlanta Falcons came to Ford Field was the infamous 10-second runoff. If you look at the stats, the Atlanta defense is pretty stout, okay? But when you look at their passing yards, let's take a look back at them real quick. Their defense is pretty stout on both sides of the ball. I mean, they only allow less than 300 yards a game. 256. We allow almost 100 more, okay? But they also can't pass. They can run the ball, but they can't pass. They got Kyle Pitts, Drake London. They got some receivers over there, but they can't pass. Is that a testament to their quarterback or their receivers? So we're pretty good against the run, but we're going to be up against the test. And I think that when it comes to this game, that these teams are pretty decently matched. It's going to come down to, my honest opinion, obviously 2 things, right? Stopping Bijan Robinson and getting pressure on the quarterback. We can stop the run. We keep teams in 2 games less than 100 yards per game. Now, remember, last year, we were giving up 200 yards a game. Remember that. We were averaging, I think it was close to 200 yards a game teams were averaging on the ground. Now we have to get that to translate into rushing the passer, getting sacks, maybe disrupting Desmond Ridder. And we have to do that with no CJ Gardner-Johnson, but we got Tracy Walker back there, right? So this is a time for the Detroit Lions to be tested. Then we got a quick turnaround, but we can't look past the Falcons. We got to look at the Falcons. We have to win this game. We cannot drop 2 in a row at home. You know the crazy thing about this is the Lions are 9-3 in their last 12 games. But 10 of those games were last year, right? We're 1-1 this year, and we have to come out. And I'll just say this, and I don't want to look past the Falcons, but how crucial is this game? It is so crucial. Let me see. The Detroit Lions have a chance to go 2-1. That's a big deal. Because if we look at, let's go back here and let's look at the matchups for this week 3. None of these games matter. Green Bay and New Orleans, right? If you see right here, New Orleans can beat Green Bay. Green Bay wins this game. They go 2-1. The New Orleans Saints are 2-1, a team we play later this year. If Green Bay loses this game, they are now 1-2. Now let's go to the Minnesota Vikings. I think the Chargers are going to win this game. 2 0-2 teams. Without a tie, one of these teams have to win, right? And let's finally look at the Kansas City Chiefs, Dallas Cowboys. This is in Arrowhead. There's no way the Chicago Bears walk away with this game. The Detroit Lions have a chance to put a ton of pressure on Green Bay heading into the Week 4 matchup. And again, not looking past the Atlanta Falcons, but we got a quick turnaround. Before you know it, we play, we win, we lose. It's Monday. We're playing on Thursday. We have a chance to be 3-1 after we play the Packers. If the Packers lose this game and drop to 1-2, the Detroit Lions beat the Atlanta Falcons. Now you're talking about 2-1. Now you got a matchup between a 1-2 team and a 2-1 team, with the difference being either 3-1 or 2-2 for the Detroit Lions. If they're 3-1, they will be 2 games ahead of the nearest opponent going into the Week 4 weekend with the rest of the teams in our division. But it starts this game. So what do I see? I see the Detroit Lions winning this game. They're going to play for their comrades, the fallen ones, the people that need to step up. They're going to go back to that 2022 team that was gritty. They're going to defend the den. They're going to stop Bijan Robinson, and we will have our first sacks. We will have plural sacks from the defensive line position. Not a linebacker, not a safety, the defensive line position. Isaiah Buggs will be back, most likely. 99% sure he's playing on Sunday. So I think the Detroit Lions win this game at home. They move to 2-1, and they go to Green Bay to try to take control of the division after the first quarter of the season. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And also, is this a must-win game for the Detroit Lions? You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.